Howdy, Tex. All right, neutrality. This is what America wanted. We wanted to stay neutral. What's neutrality mean? What's neutral mean? Well, in a car, if you put the car in neutral, the transmission in neutral, it means you can rev up the gas all you want. Car ain't going anywhere because it's not engaged. Why am I talking about cars? I don't know what I'm talking about. Neutrality means that you don't pick a side. That's what it means. When we're talking about this, it means you don't pick a side. If there's two countries fighting, if you stay neutral, you stay out of it. It's like isolation, okay? It's like isolationism. You stay out of it. You mind your own business. That's what America wanted. So what are these things I'm asking you about? What are these neutrality acts? The neutrality acts, beginning, there were three of them, okay? And again, the idea was, let's stay out of future wars. We don't want war, let's stay out of it. Let's let other people fight, we're not going to fight. So, the first two neutrality acts outlawed the sale of weapons or making loans of money to countries at war. So if a country's at war, we're not going to sell them weapons, and we're not going to loan them money. Think about World War I. Remember, we sold all these weapons to Britain and France. We made all these loans of money, and then we're like, dude, we better get in there so we don't lose all this money that we just loaned them. So we said, look, we want to learn from our mistake. I'm talking a lot with my hands. We want to learn from our mistake. We want to stay out. So we're not going to make loans, and we're not going to sell weapons to countries at war. Okay. That was the first two neutrality acts. The third neutrality act was in response to a civil war in Spain. There was a civil war in Spain, okay? So that's the answer actually to number 16. What was the European country that fell to a dictatorship? He was a fascist like Mussolini. Well, it was Spain. I just said that. It was Spain. So the third neutrality act said, we will not, this is kind of funny, we won't make loans of money and we won't sell weapons to countries in civil war. So same idea in these three neutrality acts. If you're at war or in a civil war, we're not going to sell you weapons, we're not going to make you loans. Okay, seems simple. Backside. Okay, so there's that. America's isolationism at this point starts to break down. Okay, we had signed these neutrality acts, but it's like, man, it's like putting a tight string on something, trying to keep it, roped in. But I think at this point, a lot of people knew, hey, it might be a few years, but we're going to get pulled into something. We weren't sure what, okay? So the Spanish Civil War was a democratic government versus this dude named Francisco Franco, which is a cool name, but he was a fascist, so not a good guy. Cool name, though. So, kudos to, I assume, his parents who named him. Hitler and Mussolini send weapons and troops to help Franco, because he's one of their, fascist dudes. And again, the fascists got to stick together, right? If fascists have to be friends. America can't help but get involved. But we don't sell weapons and we don't make loans, so we send them food and clothing, which are important to make war, but, you can give me all the sandwiches you want, but if some dude is shooting at me, sandwiches aren't really helping me out. I'll just die with a full belly, okay? So Spain ends up falling to the dictatorship of Francisco Franco. Okay, so that's Europe. Let's spin the globe over to Asia, Southeast Asia. Got an itch there. Japan had attacked China in 1937. Okay, FDR straight up ignores the neutrality acts because he says, neutrality acts don't apply because Japan never declared war on China. So China's not technically at war. So that means that we can sell weapons to China and we can make loans to China in order for them to fight back against the Japanese. We had been worried about the Japanese taking over a lot of territory in the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific is important because we were trading a lot with China, and we looked and we said, look, man, Japan is going to be taking over a lot of places. They're going to grow powerful, and we don't know if we're going to be able to stand up to them later on. So we got to kind of quench what they got going on early. So we wanted to help China fight off the Japanese invasion, and since China didn't declare war on Japan, we're like, sweet, let's do it. So we did it. We ignored the Neutrality Acts. FDR made a big speech. He spoke against isolationism. He called on peace-loving nations to quarantine aggressive nations. And he said, hey, this is the only way we're going to stop war. And that's cool, but nobody listened to him. So, in 1938, Hitler's troops march into Austria without a shot being fired. So the German Nazis take over Austria. No shots are fired. They just march in peacefully. And Austria's like, all right, fine, we give up. The world is nothing. The League of Nations, nothing. They do nothing. Hitler meets with French leaders and British leaders, and he says, look, y'all, we all want to avoid war. First lesson should be don't trust Hitler, right? Bad dude, like don't trust him. But, you know, we didn't know that lesson yet. So the French leaders and the British leaders meet with him, and Hitler says, look, we all want to avoid war. I just want Czechoslovakia, and I'll be good. Like, that land belongs to Germany anyway. The Treaty of Versailles shouldn't have taken it away from us. We want it. We deserve it. We earned it. Give it to us, and we'll be nice. And we'll go back to Germany and eat our schnitzel and wear lederhosen, and we'll be good to go. All right? I don't know, sauerkraut. I don't know what Germans do. Do their thing. And, I mean, it seemed good. It seemed right. So that's what they did. The Allied leaders, France and Britain, say, yes, Hitler, you may have Czechoslovakia, in an effort to appease Hitler. The idea of appeasement is just kind of, it's kind of a bribe, but it's giving somebody what they want in the hopes that that will satisfy them and they won't want anything else. Like when you give a little kid a snack before dinner and say, hey, make sure this holds you over until dinner. That's kind of appeasement, okay? Hoping that the kid stops crying until they can get dinner. That's appeasement. That's what we did. It's giving somebody a little bit of something that they want in the effort to hold them over and satisfy them to prevent any future problems. So I got these a little bit out of order, but I think you'll do all right. What did the League of Nations do? Nothing. They did nothing when German troops marched into Austria, okay? Why did the other countries do nothing? Why did the League of Nations do nothing? I think you already know the answer. Everybody wanted to avoid war. That was it. Everybody wanted to avoid another world war. They had just fought one 20-some years later, or before. They said, we know what that's all about. We don't want to do that again. So if we can just give him, Czechoslovakia and make him happy, so be it. Well, you know a little bit more of the story. Let's see, 21, 22. What? You already know the story. So Germany takes over Czechoslovakia, and then a month later, he starts talking about Poland. He says, man, we need Poland, because, Poland looks juicy. Who doesn't want to take over Poland? Well, Hitler wanted to take over Poland, and so Germany invades Poland, right? Because the League of Nations had done nothing while Germany was talking about taking over Poland. No other countries had done anything about, taking over Poland. And so Hitler takes over, he attacks Poland, and that's when Britain and France say, all right, fine, we got to go to war with this fool and kill these Nazis. So that's what happens.